It looks like we're live. It looks like we're going live. Here, let me see if I can hear it. It looks like we're going live.
Live?
Sounds really good. I'm going to turn myself down.
How do I sound?
You are coming through. I think I'm coming through too loud. Can you lower me? It looks like we're going live. Live? Sounds really good. I'm going to turn myself down. Yeah, it's good.
How do I sound?
You sound good, John, honestly.
You are coming through. I think I'm coming through too loud.
Cool. Time for forked block like a bar. Really, is your internet that bad, John? Oh, John,
and we are live. What's up, guys? Ladies and gents, we are now about to go live hacking Angular 8 with Eric Manganero. John May unfortunately had to leave. But,
hey,
you know, we're all you got. If you can't love the one you love the one you're with. You know?
Yeah, I think, like, you know what? Honestly, you're really big right now.
Yeah, you want me to shrink down?
Yeah, I think you're just really big.
All right, we can do that. We have the magic of OBS. Down in the corner. All right, cool. Okay,
yeah, that's good.
So today I've been hacking on Angular. I was taking up some of my old programming days back to the forefront, which is Angular, a passion of mine. A lot of people have been playing in React, and particularly me, I prefer Angular just because of its framework and how it operates. I tend to think of things very modularly, and Angular, with its MVC and two-way data binding, is a very interesting thing to work with. It's really cool for a lot of reasons. Like a lot of other things, it's built using the npm. There's actually a really great command line tool like React has called Angular CLI, or command line interface. And I was playing with it last night, and really one of the things that I had never used before was called Bulma. And I started building just a basic app because we were thinking about updating the web page and whatnot. And I came across this, and I found that I may prefer Bulma more than I like Bootstrap, which was news to me because I was a huge fan of Bootstrap. But anyways, we're just going to build a really basic site, possibly move into some Truffle and some Angular boxes over there. And I'm not sure if they'd have Angular 8 Truffle boxes yet, but whatever version, they're fairly similar after Angular 1. Angular 1's just a whole different animal, and I would highly recommend people don't learn that language just because it will be deprecated in the future. Angular's done this shift to 2+ in a completely different format. And Angular's team in their development, they've been doing a lot of funky things with how they're changing up syntax and whatnot. But there's a bunch of advantages of using TypeScript, and the language behind Angular is pretty elegant and pretty awesome. It's very easy to use. So Eric, what's your experience with Angular? You just, other than me talking about it, you ever bash on it a little bit?
Pretty much dirt. I don't know anything about Angular, so I'm really excited to completely come into it without knowledge of anything, and just with my knowledge of JavaScript to hack and slash through it with you. I think, are you going to start from scratch, or what are you going to do today?
We're going to go baseline up. Why not? have everybody run into the same problems that I run into, and we'll just go through it. And, you know, this isn't really scripted so much. I mean, I played with it a little bit last night, and I'm sure I'm going to blow things up. One of the unexpected issues I had with Angular 8 and Font Awesome, which is interesting, is how you import it. You can see here, and we can get into this in the future, but we're going to run into one major problem, which took me a while to troubleshoot last night, and that was the FAB versus the FAS Font Awesome sets. And where you can see those is in these download and tweet sections right here on the top right on my screen. These icons won't actually display unless you render them properly, and it took me a little bit of troubleshooting to figure out what I had to import and how I had to do it. You actually have to import two separate types of icon sets to host them natively. Now you could do it not the way I'm going to do it, not importing it as a component and just like having a script or a style sheet at the top. But since we're going to try and do things right and not you know, just do a hack job on the whole thing, we're going to try and import them how they're properly supposed to be imported. And that's probably just something people are maybe encountering with Angular and some of the differences. So we might build this site out a little bit more live. I haven't really experimented in it, but it would be cool to do some like Discord integration. I know me and Eric want to do that for our own site where we have, you know, constant communication. Maybe long term we could build out some APIs or something on the back end and, you know, really have our website work for us, because that is the entire point of programming. If the thing is not doing what you want it to do, you're better off using Wix or something else. And me and Eric talk about this all the time. It's like, you know, if you're building a kind of a janky site, sometimes it is better to go with just software as a service or software as a solution and purchase some of these things, because they are a lot of times a lot better. So if your code isn't really, obviously there's a learning component, but if you have to have done, particularly for other clients and other people, you have to have something simple that they can use. And I think when I first started off doing contract work, one of the problems that I always had was it was always what I wanted. I had these big ideas of grandeur, and, you know, you're dealing with dads for, you know, our reference term, our standard reference term is like, you know, a dad, and he just wants to be able to go on and you know, have somebody go to a link or two, and they're not really looking for that much advanced functionality. But if they could have it in a good way, they would love it, right? So it's trying to like marry complexity and features and trying to make it simple and easy to use. So Angular is really good for the front end development and how things integrate in. These components that you have really isolate problems that you might run into, so you don't have your whole app fail if you just have a certain issue. It's really easy to identify, and it communicates with you through the command line and actually the dev console. And what that looks like is if you're in Chrome and on Windows, you just hit Control-Shift-J on your Google Chrome browser, and it's telling you what's going on in development mode, right? So it'll actually shoot you errors and tell you what's going on and what types of issues you have. So it communicates there and also in the command line. So just building out the basic stuff is what we're going to do today. We're going to start from the basics from the GitHub project and start there. And Eric's a lot better at Git than I am, so he's here to help me through that process, because I usually you know, just do kind of local commits and whatnot. There's also a couple other components. So with that being said, first thing that we are going to want to do is open up our Ubuntu subshell. The Ubuntu subshell, just remember when you open it, you can actually pin. So you're going to want to right click it. Just click this little link up here in the top right and just type in Ubuntu. You're going to want to right click that and run it as an administrator, or else you're going to run into problems. Always happens, right? Because Windows is somewhat goofy. So now that once we did that, I have my shell up and I'm working on a Linux subsystem on Windows. And I'm actually going to take this project here and I'm going to keep this as a reference because I had some code in there that I'd like to use. But first step. Okay, so now that we have our Linux subsystem up and our command shell open, go over to GitHub, and what you're going to want to do is just start a new repo. And I'm actually going to do this in the ForkedBlock repo, so we have it. So if you go to repositories, we're just going to do
very nice.
Add a new repository. We'll just call this one FB Angular. This is an Angular 8 application using Bulma and front end.
Wow.
Okay, so this is a public repository. Install it. You probably want to create a README. It's just kind of standard. It usually gives you like information about it, and a lot of people preach it. It's just good to have notes.
You want to do a git ignore too. There's one for Node. Just type it. No, you won't commit all those pesky Node modules.
You can do a license too, because this is open source. So we'll just do the MIT license. There is the GNU. I don't know really what the differences are.
I just have to read them.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that at all. FB Angular. Okay. So now that we have
pretty good.
We have a git ignore file, we have a license, and we have a README. So what we're going to do is
clone it.
Clone that. The command for that is really simple. We're just going to go git clone. Boom. And obviously just copying and pasting and then changing into this directory. And now, as you can see, we have the license README files, but you won't see the git ignore, and that's because there is actually a period before it. And the way that you can actually see these files that in the command line in Linux is actually very easy. You can do ls, and then what you do is you call flag, so dash, and then you can do a, that's all, right? And you can see the git file there. Or you can do a little bit more complicated stuff. You can do alt, which lists them in a different format. You can do lsat dash ls al. You can do all kinds of things. So I'm going to clear this screen out. And the next step is literally, if you do not have Angular, the first thing you're going to want to do is install the CLI. To do that, I just typed in Angular docs. And there's actually a quick start guide in here. And if you click this quick start guide, the first thing it tells you to do is npm install global Angular.
Now, when you're doing that, you see the G flag. That's for globals. You're going to be installing that for all.
And
is that correct?
And if you're, yes, that is 100% correct. And now there's a lot of issues with running sudo and npm. It becomes a permission problem. For this, I have not found a way to not do sudo npm install dash.
Oh, then you just got to change the permissions.
Yeah, you can do but anyways, yeah. So you can do an npm install of this globally. But what you're going to want to do as well is if you don't have npm installed or some of the other things,
Node.
Node, you're going to want to make sure that you install those two packages, and just keep that in mind if you're going to be installing an Angular application, that you're going to have to do that. And there's very detailed tutorials on how to do that type of stuff. And whenever you're doing this type of install, like if I just decided to do that right there and install this, what you're going to want to do first, before you do any of that stuff or install Node, always just do a sudo apt-get update. Type in your password, and then just make sure that all of your stuff is updated, because you can get the most recent versions. You can actually declare which versions you want, and as this video changes, you might have a different version that you want to get into. But what we got going on live stream? Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. So actually, Eric's popping that up here. Let's kind of show it. Eric, you still with me there? Okay, sudo CHOWN-R $, who am I?
Yeah, that's pretty important, because that's usually the issue. It's less like about, like, it's better to do it now rather than later, because everything that's npm or the npm modules, I probably have like another command for you too. is because if you don't have permissions, then when you go to install stuff npm without sudo, then it's going to throw you an error.
Yeah, this is well, I'm not going to break it right now because it is working, but you definitely would want to consider that if you're doing a fresh install of this stuff. So let's just move on here. So there's some very simple commands with Angular that you should be aware of. There is what you would call like ng, which is, you can check the version, ng-v, and it should tell me at some point what type of version I am running. Okay, so that's not, it's kind of pretty, but since it's, there you go. So you see, and I'm running Node 8. I have Angular 6 installed. I'm sorry, Angular 6 is what I was going for the other day. I said 8. I probably put it in the title too. Angular 6 is what we're doing. Forgot about that. But yeah, so Angular 6, you can see the version of Node I'm running 8.10. I'm running it on a Linux Ubuntu. And basically all the stuff that you need to know about what you're doing. That's just a very simple command to check on, you know, exactly what type of version you're running. And then, you know, there's some other things that you can do here. So I created this FB Angular folder, right? But actually what you're going to want to do is ng generate new app. So we're going to do new. This is going to take a little bit of time. So as this is compiling, essentially what this is doing is Angular knows what type of framework it is, and it is going to read from, you know, its files what the new app looks like, and then it's going to create all these folders for you in this folder that we just named called new app. Or I'm sorry, Angular app. It's gonna take a minute here. And there's gonna be a couple different folders. There's an E2E before we get into it, and that's like an end-to-end testing module. There's a node modules folder. There is a source folder where you're gonna have your app, you're gonna have your assets, you're gonna have you know, your components in there, all of the basic things that make the Angular app work. And what does that look like? Well, if we see on the docs here, hold on. You know what? Actually, let's cancel this. There's a better way to do this. Okay, so what we're gonna do is remove. Okay, you can actually just generate and link up the folder. So if we just do ng new FB Angular, double check. Okay. One moment. Just gotta check my notes here. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. So as we were talking about just a minute ago, there's these things called flags, and Angular has them. So like if I do ng-v, it's going to tell me the version. Now, what I'm going to opt to do is actually just link up the Git to the GitHub post. setting it up, which is going to be a little bit more complicated. I'm going to have to work through it, but it's actually really easy. It's just command. What you're going to want to make sure though is that I name it the same thing, and that way it can get set up. And then these other flags, -- minimal, is going to make sure there's nothing really in the project except for what's necessary. I'm also going to set up routing, which is for the front end of the application. So when you click links, it knows how to, what type of view to present to the user that's watching. And this is called an MVC framework because
Be right back.
Okay. Model View Controller Framework basically deals with the model by which the data is going to be coming in, the view, and that's like literally what the front end person is going to see that is visiting the site. So the server is going to give it to the user is going to view that, right? And then there's the controller aspect, and that's like a lot of the logic that's coming through there. So FB Angular, and we're just going to create this really quick. It's going to take a minute. And there's not really much interesting stuff going on other than, all this magic that makes Angular special is installing in the background. We can go to the GitHub for Angular. You can actually see what's going on here. So okay, so the Angular framework GitHub is Angular/Angular. The website is angular.io, and obviously you can see a lot of the stuff I'm doing. If you just hit get started, you're going to come right through here. So really what we're basically doing is the same thing, except for I did like those flags with minimal in networking. I also had the SCSS flag on there, so it's going to set that up as well. Moving down here, there's also a really good tutorial on this with scotch.io if you really were interested. I really have to reach out that how good these guys are here at Scotch. They have a wonderful walkthrough of exactly what you should be doing. Bulma. This is literally how I started playing with coding and things like that on Angular, was literally through Scotch. It's amazing. They've come a long way too. Their site used to be a little bit smaller, and now it's really next level. Actually, I should probably check out the chat, see what's going on. Let's see what's up here. See if anybody's on the live stream chat. Oh yeah, make sure you join our Discord too. I'll give you that link. You can just Google the ForkedBlock Discord and find out where you can join that up. But it is our server is WXUPUTA. Right there. And you can ping us. So let me see what I got here. Nobody's talking right now. That's okay. Let me check the Twitch live for me. Is anybody talking on this? Let's see. If you are working on this, I'm gonna keep this open down here. That way you can ping me. I'm also gonna check Facebook too, and also YouTube. This is taking a really long time to install. I should have allocated like more memory to my Ubuntu subsystem. Okay, so let's just, I guess, talk about specifically the code here. There's, on the code here, like navigating through it, see, you can see this is what we're going to be doing with this particular set. What we're going to do is generate the footer and the header, route these different modules that I'm talking about through to the front and the back end. Well, actually, we're not going to be building a back end out, but we're going to route these different modules to recognize what we're building. And that's all done through Angular CLI. So you're going to see a command. It's called ng generate and then component, or ngg and then component. And then I like to actually make a subfolder for components so that we can keep it all nice and organized, but not necessary technically. Main.ts. So this is the routing module that I was talking about. When you do the routing, it includes this module right here. And basically what this does is what I mentioned. It handles any type of request that a client might have to most of the, so this is actually an interesting thing about Angular. Most of the actual app of Angular it's like basically a single page app. And what happens is when you request certain information from the website, it's actually hosted on your localized machine. Really all Angular does is it pulls in all of the assets when it's rendering the page that somebody's visiting. You click on those assets, what happens is your browser actually renders it, and it only requests a very small amount of data to the server to actually get it, if it does it at all. Some pages don't even communicate with the server other than for, say, like the actual initial download. So most of that web page can actually be hosted right within your browser and then pull assets from different servers. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Let's see where we're at. Oh, interesting thing, by the way. So this right here, if you've ever have your icon drop on like this one is here, there's actually an icon cache in Windows that you have to refresh. I haven't had any luck with doing it, but I'm trying to figure that out. So any tips that you have for doing that? I've tried to clear it like 6 times and it doesn't work. Really want to get moving on this. It takes a little bit of time to install. I mean, it is a pretty big project. It's almost there. Okay. Here's another actually interesting thing about Angular. So we're going to get into this in a minute, but you have to basically declare these components within a certain file so that it can actually render. And the way that Angular is built out, as I've mentioned several different times, is in different ways. And I know, like I keep reiterating it, is it really makes apps very modular, right? So when you're dealing with, say, one section that you want to repeat or follows a similar type of scenario, for instance, like when you go on YouTube and you see several different videos, right? They don't actually make each thumbnail write the specific text for each video. What they do is they write the actual text, store that text in a database, and then push it out as like a template. And that's like what these views do. So the logic behind that goes and searches the database, queries it, pulls the information that it needs, and then puts it into HTML. And then we build components. Say if we were going to build this with like something like YouTube with Angular, what we would do is come up with basically a framework for what a thumbnail video looks like. And then it would iterate to save you a lot of time in programming. Instead of having to go up and create each one individually, if you're familiar with like WordPress or some of these front end things, like you might want to like optimize the thumbnail and do this. It does very similar stuff with PHP. But the difference here is a lot of the way that things are rendered, they're done on the server side with PHP, not actually in the browser themselves. And that's the major difference from like frameworks like React, front-end web applications, like Vue is another one, and Angular. These are three completely different technologies that work in similar ways, but Vue is like a hybrid. React is in the JSX route, and then Angular is, obviously different because it's very structured. So let's just continue on. Please be done. Still not done. Nice. Actually, I got an idea. Let's check out the Git. So after we initialize this project, after it's done installing here, what we're gonna do is, okay, so that's done. We can actually link this up to GitHub, and I'm gonna have to double check on how to do this because I'm a little rusty on it. I believe all I need to do is a couple lines of code to link this up to that GitHub that we created. You can find that GitHub that we created, as a matter of fact. Okay, here it is. So bear with me for a second here. So we are going to want to link what we created here up with the FB Angular up to our app, and to do that we need a couple commands. Let's see what we got. We're going to need to change the origin of our local computer to match with its remote. So right now Git is initialized off the bat with Angular, and what we need to do is actually link the Git project that is set up locally to the GitHub project that is on GitHub, the remote repository. And to do that, we have to basically rebase. So we have to git remote set -URL origin and then I think it's at github.com ForkedBlock Oh, oops. Yeah. I have to add an origin first. So that looks like this. Git remote and And when all else fails, use Google. Okay, shout out to these people for having the answer. Looks like new Angular app, routing, try run, git log, git config. Okay. Config. Git remote. Oh, I got it. I think I'm messing up here. FB. And then to block. SBA application created, should I write? Did that. Integrate with the Git source control, Git log. Okay, let's just say Git log. Oh, I'm not even in that. Good Lord. Easy troubleshooting. Rookie mistake. Oh, God. All right, I got this. I swear I got this. Okay, so what we need to do now is actually what I was trying to do before. I was wondering why it wasn't working, but it's pretty easy actually. So git remote. The issue that I had there was I wasn't actually, this happens to me a lot. When you're not in the right repo, so if you have a problem and your commands aren't working on the command line, the number one thing that you want to look at is where you're at in the command line. I'm not the best awareness like command line wise. It wastes a lot of time. If you can really pay attention to exactly what directory you're in, a lot easier. So let's do git remote, add origin, Adam at github.com, ForkedBlock, fb angular dot git. Done. So that worked. And now git remote set git status git push Oh, okay. Git remote set URL origin trying to talk through this here. I'm not the best with Git. I don't work on a lot of projects with a lot of people. I usually just kind of work locally. That's dash A. Let's just see what we got. Okay, there's the Git file. Great. Git init. Let's just start over. Git remote. What did I do wrong there? Adam and Minka, GitHub.com, git remote, set URL. Push. Did I do the flag wrong? Git remote. Oh, yeah, I got it. Origin. Git remote. Oh. Add. Git remote set URL. Origin. Git remote. Origin. Okay. Just renetting. Okay, and then git. Okay, well, I'm spending too much time on Git right now. I'm going to have to figure that one out later. Just continuing on, this is not a Git workshop. I wish Eric was here. He had a balance. Oh, wait, I found another tool. Okay, I think I know what I did. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think I got it. Permission denied. Oh. Well, anyways, it's neither here nor there. Continue on. You don't really need Git for this. I'm not great at Git. I don't do pushes. God, I wish it was here. You know what's up. Okay, so next steps. Now that we have Angular, let's just ng serve and see what we got going on. So what's happening now is it's compiling the code that we have built out. It's going to be really simple. It's just going to say like Angular works or something like that. Very meat and potatoes type of stuff. And we can find that literally by going to where I was before in the localhost 4200. As you can see, this is a previous site. If we refresh it, it's going to just be welcome to FB Angular. That's that. If you just want to build an app, Git, I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with Git. I'm just missing something right at this moment. If we're just, usually when you're doing a custom dev build, you can just set up Git very simply. It's changing the origins and stuff like that just hot wires my brain. I don't know what I'm doing. Working on Git is pretty simple. It's easy to get fluent in, but really the commits and trying to stay on the same branches and working with other people still is a complicated process, and it started being a developer. Probably one of my weakest points is committing to repositories and working as part of a team. With like large projects, it's a lot easier to know that Git architecture, because you can just commit separate branches and separate changes. That part's really easy. You can also delete down and rebase and all this complicated stuff. Setting up the actual URL, I don't do that a ton. I usually work on Eric's projects with him. So continuing on here, this is the baseline app. Everything you see here is literally a complete Angular app, and we can actually prove that to you. I can show you how easy it is to edit. You could literally go in here and start playing with it. If we go, let's just go to Visual Studio Code here. And let's just add a project to folder workspace. I have the root file system. They tell you not to do this in Windows. They tell you to go through the mount for the Linux subsystem. And I just have issues with it. So I literally go into their home folder and edit them like this, which they tell you not to do. But, oh well. So here's FB Angular. Let's close all this up. I'm not going to need that right this second. Okay, yeah, so we're in the source folder. You can see this is the FB Angular app that we built. Going into the source folder, we can see basic components. It's the same as the other one that I was showing you. We have the module, the components. Obviously, you can see here it says welcome to title. This is actually a variable that's getting pulled in from, let me just double check here. Right here in the components section. So FB Angular, if we change this, this is the title. This is kind of how everything's working out. So we can name this save that, and we would have to actually ng serve it again. So if we're looking here, every time we have to do this through the Linux subsystem, it does hot reload, but you can set up server changes in different servers to make this process a little bit easier. I'm not as experienced in particularly that. I would kind of do it the slow way, but we'd have to restart it, do the ng serve to actually see the change. But when we do that, that variable should have changed because that was actually our component. And this should say ForkedBlock home. And you see how that works? See, the static text didn't change. And that's part of the view that I was talking about. So this is the HTML to create what we were just looking at. And we can actually correlate this. So welcome to, and then obviously, oops, I want to do that. Obviously, it's calling a variable. That title is then rendered from this TypeScript over here as the title as the component. So this is the value in this component. That is pushed out to this HTML, and we can see that here. You can change the logos, you can do all kinds of things. This is just basically the placeholder that comes up. So what we're going to actually do is delete this in a second, and we're going to install what is called Bulma. Now, Bulma, let's just go to the docs real quick. Bulma is, if you're familiar with Bootstrap or basically anything that makes something look pretty, Bulma is exactly that. They talk about it in Scotch.io, and that's like literally how I first started using it. But let's just click here. I really like it. This is all you need to do to install Bulma. That's it. You just npm install Bulma, and it's just like any other framework. The only difference really is I like kind of out of the box what it comes with and the way that it operates. And I'm still getting to learn it to a degree, but it's pretty awesome stuff. Let's just go here. Let me see what I got next. Checking my notes. Okay, yeah. So to install Bulma, this is pretty easy. What we're just gonna want to do is go to the terminal. By the way, you can, I mean, we all use Visual Studio Code, but one of the things you can do in like Atom or something like that is actually get a terminal within your code editor. It makes things a little bit easier. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna change out of this directory and go into the Angular. Okay, cool. So now that I'm in my FB Angular folder yet again, we can actually do this here too. Wait for it. That one, okay. Control C, cancel that. Server stopped. All right, cool. And what we do is just simply npm install save. npm install save Bulma, and that's going to save to our project the module Bulma, and this is going to work with our front end to basically beautify it. It takes about a minute, but let's just check out some of the docs here. They have some really killer docs. So you can see they have all their documentation laid out really great, but say you wanted a navbar, right, in Bulma, which is exactly what I want, right? We can actually download their navbars. They're all pre-made here. You can change the icons and everything like that. And it's like, say I wanted to change the color of it, I literally just write in the class is dark, is important, see, is right. This like language is like really human. If you're familiar with Ruby, it's really simple and intuitive the way that you program, and I feel like Bulma is like that in a lot of ways too, just because it's the front end framework or front end like design framework that's just a little bit easier to use. I'm actually going to try something different this time. We're not going to build the exact same thing I did last time because I want to change it up. We're gonna do a hero banner. Okay, so hero banner, I like this one. This looks pretty cool. So what I would do here is just show the code. Let's copy this. We can import this whole thing actually as a component. Typically you wouldn't do that, but let's go. And also what we're gonna want to do is actually before we do that, what we're gonna want to do is import the styles for Bulma. Now that's installed, I'm sure it's ready to go by now, so check how it's doing. it's done. Okay, and let's check the Visual Studio Code. Okay, great. In our Angular app, to let it know exactly what it's looking for in the styles, we're going to have to include the Bulma CSS. And when we do that, we should notice a very minimal change on the Angular homepage. Basically, our title should change. You know, some of the text should change. It should be really simple. So let's go to Angular JSON. And what we're looking for is actually the styles. So where it says styles.css, what we're going to want to do is we can take in here and we're going to actually want to include Bulma. So when we installed it, every time you install something on Angular, it's going to get put into the no modules folder. You can check that out by going down here in Bulma. You can see the CSS and then the Bulma CSS file. We're going to want to include that. Bulma allows you to really edit a lot of stuff with real simple commands. So right here in Angular, under the angular.json file, it's going to configure exactly where all your CSS is in SCSS. So let's include our, well, actually, let's just do proper notation here. That. And that basically just tells us the exact path to the CSS file that we want to include. So let's save that. And if we did everything right and we just do ng serve again, we should see that Bulma is successfully installed once this compiles. And that's simply going to show us that by seeing a change from where we previously were. From this, you'll see this font change. So let's see if this is done. What did I do wrong? Let's see. Oh, I know I did. I put the wrong path. Yeah, okay. So I don't need a dot dot, I just need that. Should be good. Let's try and do that again. So when I put the dot dot there, it was telling it to back out one and then move into no modules. But it doesn't need to actually move out because, as you can see here, if I close this source, you're going to see that the angular.json file is at the same level as the no module, so I don't need to actually back out one. So let's see if it worked. And you can see the text changed, and that is simply due to the fact, and we can see the sources load in here. This is due to the fact that we're actually referencing the CSS files that were brought by Bulma. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna be able to see these. Okay. All right, so that's that part of it. Now that we have our CSS in and we have Bulma installed and it knows where the CSS files are, what we're gonna do next is actually create a header component and install that with Angular and make it really easy to import what I was looking at a minute ago. The next step that we're going to need to do is generate a component. So let's pull up our command line here. Okay, cool. Let's cancel the server because I'm going to have to recompile it in a second. Kill that. Double check. Make sure I'm not missing anything real quick. Okay. We're going to do ng generate, and this command makes stuff from the command line. You can actually shorthand it and just call it G, but we're going to type it out. So you go generate component. And then we got to name where we want it. So we're going to put it in the components folder, which doesn't exist yet, but we'll make it for us. And we're going to name this one header. And let's create that. And what you'll see happen. Oh, I spelled component wrong. That's okay anyways, because actually I want to show you this. So right now there's no folder in here and there's nothing going on. So what we're going to do is ng components / header. Okay, so now this is going to generate a component for us. And when we hit it, you'll see on the right the actual folder was edited, and you can see all these new files. So what it did was it created a subfolder of components, also a subfolder for header, and stuffed all the header components in here. It also actually took and edited our components file. Yeah, it edited our module file and declared that we now have a header component. And we can actually take this and add it into our, we have to add it into our app component.html. So what we're going to want to do is delete this out, and this is going to be called app and then whatever you name it. So let's delete this file and not what I just deleted, that HTML that was above it. We're going to keep the router outlet in the bottom, but what was above that was actually just the stuff you saw on the page before. So all of this stuff is now deleted. There's no more of that HTML. And if I reverse it, actually, you can reference that title that we have in there. So let's delete that. Let's name app header. And so what just happened there was I have a package installed that recognizes that Angular is running here. So it actually closed it out for us. It's pretty efficient. And what we're actually also going to do is, why don't we just generate a footer while we're at it? Footer components / footer, because I'm going to need a footer for this. Oops, ng generate component footer components / footer. Bam. Okay. And yet again, you see that the footer was added right there, and then all the stuff was added. So for the header file, let's just keep moving along here because we're cruising. We're going to take essentially just the code here, copy that, paste it in here. Let's just get a, actually, I don't want to go with green. I want to go with a nice blue if possible. So let's see what we can do. Okay, that one looks good. And the way that these elements are getting their actual color is it's referencing a CSS class called isInfo to make it blue. And isInfo is going to reference the CSS that's within Bulma, and there's going to be a value within there that is declaring that specific class blue. Don't know how much you know about CSS, but if you're working on a front-end app, you're going to have to know a little bit. So let's just paste this in here. And I mean, you can break this down a lot different ways, but I'm just going to do this mass update here, and let's see. And you know what, while we're at it, let's add an app footer. Okay, because we have to initialize that component into our HTML so that it knows to display it. And let's add a couple little notes here. Let's say header. And since this is HTML, we can do HTML comments or footer. And then on the router, we'll just name this. Oh. Okay, header, footer, and then just name this router. Okay, cool. All right. So now what we've done here is we have declared that the footer is now exists within this app component HTML. This is now going to display this, and we could actually, I can show you this. We can actually do this twice. So if we wanted like 2 headers, we could have 2 headers, and we'll show you what that looks like. Let's get the footer in next. So let's find a component. Bulma is pretty easy to work with, and you can find other templates on like CodePen and stuff, but just pull up a footer. Let's see what we got. This one looks good. Seems as that's the only one. Copy that. Boom, boom. And what we're going to want to do is go to the footer HTML, put that in, save. Let's do an ng serve, see if it broke anything. Should be good. Well, that's not good because we still don't have Git initted, but work on that later. Let's see what we got. Okay. Let's refresh this now. See? And that's really all you need to be able to build just a really basic web page. As you can see, we have basic layout. Bulma is that easy. All you needed to do is install it. One of the other things that you're going to need to do moving on here is actually installing Angular Font Awesome. So this specific package set isn't going to work. This download, as you can see, this download here, just go back and go to the hero. If we look at this hero, there should be a nice little GitHub download section right here, right? Let's inspect that. So this icon, this SVG, isn't rendering because there's no reference point for it. There's a couple ways you could do this. You could actually pull just, you know, link in and add all these resources with the Font Awesome kit. I think what I'm going to opt to do is actually install Font Awesome via the command line. And let me just double check on where my notes, what I had to do. Well, not my notes, the documentation. So if we want to find out how to do that, there's actually Angular Font Awesome Bulma. There was this guy that did some cool work on this. Let's see if this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. So this guy actually did a lot of good stuff. Shout out to Adam Morgan GitHub. He does the npm install and saves these. So this is the Font Awesome core, Font Awesome SVG icons, Font Awesome, just the Angular Font Awesome package. So we're actually going to do the same thing. We're going to install those, and then we're going to have to install the brand icon. So let's just paste that in. It's going to download, then it's going to go to the next one and download. And really what we're doing is pulling in those SVG files into our localized app. That way we don't have to render those resources from outside. We can actually serve them up right within our application. But it's going to give us a big amount of weapons to work with. You can see it going through here. It's going to do all 3 packages that I pasted in. And in the meantime, actually, let's find out what we have to do to get the Font Awesome brand icons. Angular font awesome brand. Right now what I'm looking for is basically the way font awesome works, and actually I'll show you this. Actually let's install this last one. Let's see how far we get here. It should be downloading, but really what I'm about to try and talk about here is in the header, you saw that wasn't displaying, and that's because we don't render it. But you see this FAB GitHub, that's a very particular issue within very particular package within Font Awesome. So these FAB files have to pull from FAB, and you also have to declare FAB within the Angular app. And actually I am forgetting something, because we need to declare. Let me double check here. There's one more thing I'm forgetting, and that is where you're supposed to load the library resources in. Double check, triple check. Library resources. Don't need that. Don't need that. One second, I'm gonna put this on mute for 1 second. Hello? Hey, I'm live streaming right now. I'll call you right back. I think we're gonna have to hang up here, but let me just show you what we built so far, and we can actually finish out. Localhost. I have to entry serve. Yo, Eric. Calling Eric up. We'll see if he can talk right now. All right, so this compiled successfully. There's probably going to be some errors right here, but this is pretty awesome. So this whole app here, we can actually change all of this if we were playing with it. 1 second. These are pretty cool. Okay, I'm pretty stoked. I'm happy about this. I'm gonna check my other project real quick and see how I imported the other things, but I think it's in. What you're gonna have to do is import brands. Oh, there it is. This is the package that I'm looking for. Okay, cool. So let's npm install this one too. It's the one that I wanted to do. Copy. Okay, so this is Fort Awesome /free brands SVG icons. I couldn't find it yesterday, and I wasn't sure which package it was. I don't want to install a package I'm not going to use. So let's npm install --save install. awesome free / free brands dash svg icons. All right, npm install at awesome / free brands / free dash brands dash svg dash icons. Okay. And then what we need to do is actually copy this. Yeah, I imported these libraries twice on this. This shouldn't be the way it is. So we're gonna actually copy this code over. We're gonna move it into our new project. I troubleshot that yesterday for quite some time. Let's go to the app module TS. That's what I'm calling. App module TS. Okay, so these components were all loaded in. This is where we were looking before, right down here. First thing that we're gonna need to do is declare these. Okay, so let's paste those imports that I had in there. So these are the fun awesome libraries. What we also need to do is actually include, we can actually get rid of this because we don't need to declare a library twice. But this is what we installed. These are all the packages right here, what we're installing for Fort Awesome. And this is kind of how Angular works. So what we also need to do here is this is not a declaration, this is actually an import. So what we need to do is copy down here, and let's make sure I'm doing the syntax right, but I believe it's the same. Oops, wrong thing. What we need to do is comma Fort font awesome module, and see how it turned from one color to the other. Like, let's just delete this letter real quick. You see on top here where it says import and how it's faded out? That's because it's not referenced, and it knows, Angular knows in TypeScript that there's no declaration for this specific module down here in the import. So now we have to import in the ng module down below. Hey Eric, what's up, man? Eric,
hey, what's up?
Yeah, man. I was actually just talking about modules and how we need to import them because it's kind of complicated. A lot of people get messed up. But we installed Font Awesome, and this is where we're at. And
Font Awesome, sweet.
Yeah, so right now the problem that we're having, and I had to troubleshoot this for quite some time last night, was when we first installed all this, we have, do you see this download button's not there?
Yeah.
That's an issue. Angular does a little bit different stuff with it, but right here, obviously it's there. What we're gonna do is try to fix that. And this is basically the app that I'm building. I actually couldn't get GitHub up, which was interesting. I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that, maybe after we're done with this.
What's the issue?
The GitHub. I couldn't link the GitHub up. I couldn't figure it out.
Can you share with me this screen, and I'll work in your terminal while you're talking?
Sure. Give me 1 second. Let me just check and make sure I'm done with my terminal. Give me 1 second here, Eric.
Okay.
So cool thing about Visual Studio Code, by the way, you can actually just share your whole terminal with somebody else and like have them interact with the code with you, and you can literally work on the same workspace. It's wicked awesome. Wicked awesome.
It's pretty wicked. It's wicked.
It's wicked. Okay, let me just check here.
It's wicked.
I know I'm missing stuff.
Wicked awesome. You are from the Northeast, aren't you?
It's wicked awesome. It's awesome.
It's wicked.
Wicked awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely am from the Northeast, unfortunately. It's cold, dark place. No programmers. All right, yeah, so hold on, I just lost track of where I was, but basically we're just focusing on this component. So actually, I'm gonna go check these components that I uploaded in here, the header and the footer. Let's see the correction that I made. So if you're not able to import them, basically what happens is they're not going to display. So by installing those packages, we now have the libraries available. So for that GitHub icon, for that GitHub icon, we actually have to change the wording because of how we're serving it up, because it's being served up as a variable from a library within Angular. And in the same way that we have, not the same exact way, but one of the ways that when we first looked at the title, where we changed the ForkedBlock title over just to kind of show you what it was actually putting in the data into that variable in the HTML. This is working in a different way. This is putting in data from a library into the HTML. And let's show you how you do that. So the syntax is a little bit different. Let me just come on down and go to, we need to use the components file. And let's check the header, which we were working on. And if we go down to this icon, we see that this is going to be a lot different than this. And I'll comment it out. So now, since we have the font awesome libraries, we should be able to declare, actually, we should be able to declare a font awesome icon and name the icon. And actually, we're going to do, instead of Twitter, we're just going to do FAB, and then we're going to do GitHub. And let's see if this works. I may be missing something, but I don't think so. This is a solution I came up with yesterday. So what we're going to want to do is ng-serve again. It may shoot an error, and if it does, the cool thing about Angular is it's going to tell us what our problem is, like whether we didn't initialize something properly, or it's going to be really easy to troubleshoot.
Wow.
Wow. All right. Let's see where we're at.
I put push to talk on so I could eat cookies. It looks great on my phone, by the way.
What does?
I just have like your little avatar there. I think I wasn't even watching the stream for a little bit, but I just kept the stream going on my right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little Adam Manka.
All right, cool. So let's go here. Let's see what we did. Did it break? Compiled successfully. It's going to tell us if we have an error right away. No error. Did it work? Did it work? Bam. GitHub icon, top right.
Wow.
So this is basically, look, now
amazing.
Now you have a full app here. This is something that you can actually launch from. We could publish this and build this today using ng-build and put it up on a server on AWS, and we would have a full site. ForkedBlock would have a new site. We can add we can add components in here. We can put Discord in here. We can do all kinds of things.
Does it kind of do a hot reload or no?
Yeah, so there's a way to set it up, but I'm not sure how to do it with Linux subsystem and Windows. So we're just doing ng-serve and whatnot. I think
it could be hot reloading now. I know you just built the app from scratch.
Yeah. So yeah, this is pretty cool stuff though. So like, let's just go back to.
I like it.
You don't have to be a pro, like a front end web expert, to be able to build this stuff and make it look really nice. Like, look how scalable Look how scalable. Like React and these front end web frameworks are just so insane. Like your quality can be so high. We really, I think. Let's just check it on different devices. So this is a cool feature too, in case you don't know about this. The Control-Shift-J allows you to toggle devices, the developer tools. Look at how well, like this isn't ideal, but like that's pretty good, right? So like this is not realistic for the window to be that small. So actually what the better way to do is to check Galaxy S5. Looks good, you know? Not ideal. You can click these, but it's clean. It looks professional. It's nice, you know? I can get rid of these menus on the bottom too. These, you obviously wouldn't put that many. There's no purpose for that. But like, this is pretty good. I mean, that's about as good as you're going to get for Flexbox and all this other stuff that's built into this prepackaged awesomeness. And if we want to change like the color of the header, we can actually do that. Let's do that real quick. I'll just show you how to do it. You want to change from blue to black, you just say is dark instead of is info. So like, let's just check this out. Header component.
Check it out.
Is active. Let's just say is dark for the navbar. And let's see what happens.
Okay.
Wait, is it the navbar?
You got 6 viewers on Twitch.
is...
You got some friends and, put
Oops.
emotes in chat.
Not the right one. Hold on. Is large is info. Yeah, I see. I knew I was doing the wrong thing here. Is info. Let's just do is dark. Let's go dark. Let's go goth. Let's do it. Let's do it. I always wanted to be a goth. Not really. Okay, ng serve. Bing, bing, bing. Bing, 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 bing. See where we're at. I haven't really gave any shout outs, man. I actually have to call Andrew in a second, too. I'll let you take over my screen if you want. And you can just continue to mess around, talk. Eric.
Say again?
I said I can hand you over my workspace or whatever if you want to hack on this for a minute. See, look at black. That's how easy it is to literally change the whole color and just keep your whole site looking clean. Very simple, very human language. That's like what we're talking about with some of these easier languages like Ruby. Ruby is boss, okay? It's so easy to program with because it's like you understand what's going on. So these other languages are just not easy to use, and therefore, like, you have to be a specialist in them. It's kind of a problem. If you want to build like rapidly scaling large applications, first of all, don't use MongoDB.
Whoa. Oh, what if everybody else has really nice fond memories of MongoDB?
Dude,
that's not fair.
Dude, Mongo's cool, but
if you like saxophones,
yeah, I like SQL. It's pretty boss. It works pretty well.
It's sound. It's kind of like dated, but whatever. Lol.
I mean, Mongo's okay. They're getting better with it, but
how's that Bitcoin energy?
Once again, shout out to Shield and Crypto Craig.
Yeah, Shield. Yeah, I got the shakes, and it's all because of you.
Yeah, too much of this.
No, there's never too much. I'm actually down. It's really delicious.
Yeah.
I'll forget. She'll send me so many cases that I'll forget how many I'll have in a day. And I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that.
I'm pretty sure we just built a whole website. It was just pretty cool.
Wow, it's a whole. Did you just do that?
From scratch, yeah, man. I just walked through everything.
Well, hot dog.
Hot dog. It's really easy though. I mean, I probably could have cut out like 30 minutes because I was talking about Git.
Can you show me how to do a production build now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's do a production build.
Okay.
Give me that. About them static files, boy.
Let me just check the Angular docs because I think it's just ng build.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
And then it's done.
It probably is that.
Angular docs. Well, we could do routing and all this other stuff, which is
totally.
Also very easy. Model.
So do you know intimately how Angular messes with the DOM?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with it?
So it's an MVC framework, dude. So you have your models, your views, and your controllers, right? Your data models, your controllers basically are handling your logic. Your data models are basically how things are stored and updated. Yeah. And then you have the views, which is your basic HTML. Well, in this case, like TypeScript HTML. And really these three things working together. Actually, let's pull up a little diagram of an MVC, Angular MVC.
No, because the reason why I'm asking is because, like, all right, so we have like JavaScript that interacts with the DOM. Do they play nice with, let's just say here, the normal JavaScript and how it messes with the DOM? Like, how does it do it? And more particularly in the view. Like, I get it's an MVC, but I'm talking about the view. What do they do? What does it do? How does it do it?
I guess I'm looking for the question. Really, I get what you're saying, but not necessarily.
Okay, so for instance, if I have like a P5, which is like just a library in JavaScript outside of any framework, and it will write to the space in the browser, like the DOM, the canvas.
Oh, so how it's writing it? I mean, so like,
how do you write to the canvas and stuff?
So
you're rendering for an iPad, brother.
Yeah. Cool. So there's a couple different things it does. It's using ES ES6, ES7. Is that what you're talking about? You're talking about the compiler and like how it's interacting with the DOM. So basically,
Yeah, like
okay.
I think it's a really specific question, but it's kind of like necessary because it's like if I don't know if I can write to the same canvas or DOM, then it's like
No,
what do I do?
Can I show you maybe what you're asking, and you can tell me?
Yeah, let's explore it. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just a general question.
So MVC framework, we can look at that all day, but
it's not really pretty specific.
Well, hold on. Let's just tell me if I'm barking up the right tree with you. Your question is how it's interacting and changing the DOM elements. For instance, index.html, which is what we're all interested in, is literally just app root. That's all that's there. Okay. App root is where all the magic's happening. If you put this as a source, nothing's going on here. App root gets rendered. Let's go into here. This is rendered as hold on. Let me find it. It's getting built in the compiler from this stuff. So really, Angular goes through all its imports, all the things that it needs to render in app root and loads them into your web browser. Your web browser then has a bunch of components. So these components right here, header and footer component, when I do ng generate, it's creating app-header as we looked in here. So app-header is being created because you are importing it. It is now it is a DOM element, right? So when you're importing these components and then you declare them within your HTML, these are then rendered together into the index file, which is then displayed. But these things specifically are turned into DOM elements. App.header becomes basically a DOM element. Let's show you that. Let's go to our website. Check this out. You see this app.header right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's zoom in there. Oops. Since it is this is like a fluid DOM, it can basically doesn't have to load from the server. It can load through logic and change data that's stored locally on your computer before it needs to post or communicate with the server. So you're not actually reloading the entire web page. You're reloading the front end web page. You change your views and your models, which are already pre-compiled within your browser. You download these sources into your web browser, all the CSS, everything, and it's compiled. Let's just see here. I want to look at styles.js. Your browser has the ability to do most of the actions without communicating, where in difference, like PHP is going to require that it contact the server and then ask for more assets. A lot of this stuff is done, with few exception, basically asynchronously within your browser. And then hold on, let's just see main.js. This compile when you do a build production, like this is what you can see in here. It's giving you a bunch of info about what's going on, but your modules being your header and your footer components, this is where you're getting these reference and all this creation, all this JavaScript, your styles, everything's right in here, but it's compiled in a little bit more crunched down format. So when we see this nice clean code, it's going through, Angular's compiler, it's packaging that stuff up. And the production one looks even more different. It's like minified. It's like,
can we launch that?
Yeah, it's like J.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's find.
That's usually like the wrap up. It's like, all right, we made this thing from nothing. Let's find out what the production build is.
I just want to double check to make sure I'm doing it right. And actually, I have a better reference for this because sometimes docs aren't as good as people that.
I like gists. Like I always be looking for gists.
Yeah, hold on. Serving and building for production. So let's just do this. Scotch.io is so clutch. I can't talk about them enough. They're just so good at what they do.
Wow, it sounds like you're being paid.
Yeah, they're no, I mean I'm not, but they're just like they'll help you learn a lot of stuff. And they're really good.
Totally. I'm joshing.
ng run build. We can do npm run build or we can do ng build. Which one do we want to do? You want to do it from Angular?
ng build, boy.
Okay. So just double check. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to do something first. I couldn't remember off the top of my head.
No,
It's been a minute since I've been playing with Angular. So we're running the build.
It's
running the build.
been a minute. Yeah, you're making me want to get one of the Bitcoin energies.
It's good stuff.
I'm about to do it. I'm about to get a can. You dare me?
I don't dare you. It's probably not.
Dare me, brother.
I mean, there's less caffeine than a cup of coffee, apparently, and I drink like 5 cups of coffee a day. So
Yeah, I did look at that. There's 80 milligrams, and a standard cup of coffee is like 95.
yeah, it's healthier. Well, maybe not the sugar, but
You know, it's healthy.
It's
Just marry yourself to that word. It's healthy.
oh, it's loading. This guy's
It's better. It's better than on you than like say like a full sugar drink. So
here. Let's check out the.
and it's like aloe, so it's like partially hydrating. So it's like. Well,
Yo, everybody! By the way, hop in this live stream Discord. Anybody who's up there, just talk. Like I can't see what's going on unless you're doing that. Like just give it a type. Give it a type. Maybe we could probably link up Twitch. I haven't seen like a lot of.
I don't think anybody's talking Twitch right now.
Yeah, I'm checking it out. I'm gonna check out what's going on out here. What's everybody doing? What's going on?
We grow. We doing it. We go.
Let's see what we got. We remove your post because it looks like spam.
Look at your face. It looks like spam.
They removed my post because it looked like spam.
What?
A live stream?
For what? On what channel?
In this one group I posted, in some spam group. Of course they would, because they're spam. And they don't want another spam.
Yo, what is this? What is this?
How dare you spam my spam group?
What is this?
I'm the only shill allowed in this room.
Yeah, I was doing that in Discord. Felt shameless, but good.
Okay, so what's going on right now? And
Did you do the thing with the stuff?
I did the thing with the stuff, and it should be built.
Oh, right. Then was it? It's hanging up right now. Is it optimizing right now?
It's just taking a minute. It's gonna come out with a build folder.
I'm down with it. That's the thing I want.
Yeah, and then we could
Give it to me. Don't be.
when it comes out with the build folder. Basically, what's happening now is these apps actually do take a little bit of time to build, but the benefit is it loads faster. Yeah, so you pay a little bit in building these things, and I haven't even talked about end-to-end testing. The E2E kit, I usually don't test.
I don't think anybody actually does. So whatever.
I don't think anybody but like massive projects that have serious hands.
Sure. And if they're like one part of the team's like focused on the end result, they probably are. But we're good. I definitely like it being on.
I barely use Git unless you or somebody else sets it up. I'm being real with you. Like I like Git. I like doing it so you don't mess stuff up. Particularly like when you're working with multiple people.
You just have to use it.
Yeah. No, but linking it up. There's just things about Git that I'm
just like it's like a thing. That's why you should start it before and not like do it on site. You know what I'm saying?
I had to start over because Angular comes apparently pre-packaged with it. So it's like it gives you a git ignore file.
Git ignore is a little different.
Yeah, I know. We should probably hook it up. We should probably show everybody how to hook it up.
Well, check it out. It's pretty easy. You can look inside a hidden folder called .git, and that really explains everything. Let's take a look at it right now. Take a little. I don't think it's available through Ranger unless you.
I wonder. I really wonder if this is actually doing stuff. I'm trying to see.
It might not be, so that's why I'm trying to like keep this train moving.
Okay, well, let's just... You want to cancel this and do it from an actual command line so I can tell what's going on? Because I feel like doing that.
You can do whatever you want.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
Wow.
All right, let's pull this up.
That's an actual command line.
An actual command line. NG.
Yeah. This is an actual command line. You don't have one yet.
Well, sometimes they don't display everything because Windows isn't good.
Is there a way for verbose output?
Ah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, the building.
Okay.
It's showing me things and stuff in things.
That's what we want, because then we can like.
I'm in front of it.
Like we got a copy of Nginx running and be like, okay, we'll point to this.
Look how cool I am. I can run Nginx. Okay, so.
Guys, humble brag.
I think it's probably just using up a ton of memory. I bet you any money this is using a ton of memory up.
Wow.
Okay, so you said, what are we looking for now? You wanted to check out the Git file? Editor config. Okay.
Yeah, it's in. It's like well, it wouldn't be in this one because there is no .git.
Yeah, there is.
Go into like your.
Should be. No?
No.
Okay, well, let's make one. Get in it.
Wait, no.
I just reinitialized. Pretty good. We have a .git file.
Yeah, it should be. And that's where everything's stored.
Yeah, keep .git.
Out inside it.
Right there. What do you want to do?
It says .git.
Okay, so what do you want me to do? Go to the .git file?
I can't see it because the live stream's in the way.
Oh, oops. Let me take that off.
Okay.
Because nobody feels like talking to us.
Okay. Yeah, make it bigger.
.git. Okay. There's nothing in this .git. There's no information.
No, it's a folder. It's a directory. You want to cd.git.
Oh, oops. Yeah, you're right.
That's it. cd.git.
CD. Oh, class. Okay.
All right, cool. Now you can see where the head is, the config is, like everything. Go in config.
And nano config. Okay. URL.
See, what it does when you do it, like you're already there.
Should this be angular.git or that? What should it
No,
be?
it's good. That's right.
Okay, so what am I doing wrong then? I thought I had it right.
I'm not doing anything wrong. Let's get back out. Go back out. Can you make it much bigger?
No, I can't.
Okay. Control plus.
Control plus? Ah, okay. There we go.
Nice.
One more.
Yeah, this is much better.
Okay, so what do you want me to do now?
CD. Let's get back into FB Angular. That directory. And can you do a git status? See what's up? No way. Just get it.
You usually do okay, and then what? Git, push, origin.
You gotta commit it, my buddy, with a message.
-m Angular startup.
Because now everyone can go out and check it out.
Okay,
ForkedBlock.
git, push, master, origin master, origin master. Dude, then I already had it set up. Oh my god, yeah. So permission denied, public key.
What? What?
What?
What?
What's going on here?
Did you do get a net?
Yeah.
All right, that's what I'm saying. That's what was bad. You wiped out what you did already. Oh boy. Yeah, you can do git add remote like I told you from before.
Git
chat.
Add remote what?
And then you put the URI in it.
Okay. I tried that like 7 times.
Try 8 times.
Try it 9 times. Why not? So back to the Git problem that we were having earlier, guys. It's a lot of fun.
Let's get with it.
Get with it. Okay, git add remote, git remote add origin Adam M. Manka at github.com. Okay. Then colon, ForkedBlock would be the user, right? Because that's the repo that it's under.
Oh, no.
And then fb angular.git. Remote origin already exists. Okay. So should we go to cd.git and just change it? cd config nano config.
Hold up, I'm getting a nice thing for you.
Let's just do it right from this, even though we're not supposed to. Git. All right. Git push origin master. Permission denied. The public key fatal. Could not read from the repository. Please make sure you have the access rights. I don't even know what this means. I don't even know what it means. Git remote set. Okay, so that should be good. Git push -u origin master. What? Oh, pit push. Git push -u origin. I'm sure there's somebody staring at this like, yeah, I know exactly. Oh, I think I know what I did wrong. I think I know what I did wrong. I think it's adammanka@gmail.com. Git remote set URL. That's probably the issue that I'm having. Origin Adam. What in God's name? Okay, so why? Just why? Git remote. So what is this? Let's just Google this problem. Okay, looks like we built. Here's the dist folder, Eric. Bam. Done. So now if we do ng-serve, we should be able to pull up localhost 3000.
Nice.
And we
Well, we're done.
Kind of. We still got the git issue, and then I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, just clone it off a new one. Or clone it off the same one in a different spot and copy it over. Like, who cares?
Okay. Git, or I'm sorry, ng-serve. Wait. Yeah. Right? Do we have to do serve and anything different? Go check.
Yeah, I think it's like, yeah.
I think it's like.
Doing the thing.
Hold on, let me just double check.
Are we adding Truffle to this?
We could if we want. I'm down to do an Angular Truffle build. Like, seriously, we could build a dope app right now. It'd be pretty cool.
Oh, well, why don't we just like ditch this and we'll try to do what's up with Truffle? Do a Truffle unbox. That's pretty dope too.
Yeah, like we could totally do that. So,
There's two different Truffle boxes for Angular. Let's check them out. Livestream. Check it out, Truffle.
local
It's
host
a delicious treat.
3,000. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, because I'm.
It's like Lime Stop. I don't know. Local host. Local host.
Okay, why not?
So edgy.
Oh, do I have to do npm?
No.
Let me double check.
Open your browser to 4,200.
Yeah, but that's not the build. That's
It says it right there behind you. Behind your head. 4,200.
Yeah, that's the dev server though. I'm trying to get the production server. So
Oh, there's no production server. It's production. It's just static files.
no, I know,
right?
but you could serve it. We could serve it from Node right now if we really wanted to. Like that's what I'm saying. So we'd have to link some.
Isn't that what it's for? So you go into the build. Should be just like a straight HTML file. The artifact.
The artifact. Okay, yeah, no, it's good. I mean, that's a pretty good place to stop right now. We're good. I mean, I have to do a call unless you want to do something. If you want to take a break for a minute, we're doing some live stuff. You want me to like mute everything out and back out?
Yeah, well, so yeah, I was gonna say I can just take over your VS Code. We can do a little Python.
I'll share your screen. Is that cool?
You want to do it like that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna share your screen, and then you're good. And Eric's gonna be taking over, man. If you want to play with some stuff, I gotta do a call real quick, so I'm gonna go to the roof. But and I gotta go to the bathroom, so I'll be gone for like a couple minutes. But yo, it's been real, everybody. I appreciate you watching me during this live stream here.
Do I show up?
Yeah, not yet. Your screen's not showing up yet. There we go. Yeah, you can take yourself off push to talk probably too. But your screen's up. You're good to go.
Nice.
I'm just gonna call Andrea real quick and see what's going on. And dude, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for letting me build an application with everybody here. And you know, if you have any questions moving forward, I'm gonna be back on in a couple minutes. Just make sure you pop them into text, chat, whatever. Eric's gonna put you in some good hands here. What are we working on, Eric? What are we gonna be doing?
We're doing Python, and I was pretty inspired by a lot of learning Python, Go, and Ruby by coding blockchain in it. And there's a couple of really good templates online, and I just wanted to go line for line and talk about it.
That sounds awesome. I'm all about it. I'll be right back, man. I'm gonna take a break for a minute, but I'm gonna leave you with everybody else.
Sounds great.
All right.
All right. So I think that we've been talking a lot about was it Viper for Python and how to create basically a blockchain, and I think a lot of the mystery can be removed kind of from what a blockchain is if we just sat down and coded one out. Let's see, I'm already in ForkedBlock. Let's if we already have a live coding thing going on. Here, we'll eliminate it, and let's go from scratch. Call it live coding. And right now, I'm prepared to do for Ruby, Python, and Go, but I think that we'll just stick with Go, Python at the moment. So let's see. Make a directory for Python. Python. All right. Let's see. We're gonna call a new file called blockchain.py. All right. So I've been kind of like thinking about it, and I just want to pseudocode some stuff out even before we even do it, because since we're doing it in a bunch of languages, I'm like, all right, I just want to define what a blockchain is. Let's see the blockchain. This I'm going to bring it out. We're going to fork block live stream. All right, so I'll usually just do a bunch of pseudocode and we'll just kind of think out loud, and then we can like go back and zoom back in on what it could be for Python. So usually I like to import all my libraries that we're going to use. Then we're going to, what is a block? What's like the minimum capacity that we could actually explain what a block is? What is a Genesis block? Something that is important in the concept of what a blockchain is. So let's see. And once we've defined what a block is, then we can actually look at like what are the methods for the block, for what it that is for a block. Block, and then we have a, let's see. Okay, yeah, I think that we see the headers are pure information right now and need to be represented. Correctly. So once we have the headers, then we can actually just start using them. Let's see, new methods for creating the Genesis block, since we know that we're going to need one, and creating new blocks in a chain. And something that I was thinking, Adam, are you there? Yep, no, he's not. All right, so a lot of what is kind of a hard concept to grasp once you're talking about writing a blockchain or creating a blockchain is that really when you're trying to define a block that is on the chain, you actually are referencing the block before you. So at the end of the day, you have the Genesis block, which is kind of like a really long password that even if one of those characters is altered, then the actual hash won't match up, starting all the way from the beginning to where the final transaction is. So we're going to make a method here in our program to declare what a new block is in the chain, which also means that we're going to reference it. Reference the block beforehand all the way to the Genesis block. And then actually we're just going to start creating transactions to add to the block. Okay, so we have the ability for us to start creating blocks. And we're going to output the headers contained. They are in. All right. Something that you'll see if we continue doing this, like for Ruby and for Go, is that we want to be able to, the only cryptographic function that we're actually using is in this specific example is the SHA-256 library, and it's pretty important for us to understand what its importance is and actually how to use it. So I believe that we have import, let's see, hashlib is where the cryptographic functions live in Python. Let's see, as hasher. Like, just in case you really wanted to check it out. Oh, let's see. Let's save this quick. make another screen real quick. All right, so we're going to go here. And it's really interesting if you just go straight to the Python terminal, you can actually import hashlib straight from there if you want to check out what's inside of it as hasher, just like code. And we can see hasher dot, and you can see all these different methods that are inside of that we inherit once we instantiate hasher. We get algorithms available, Blake, MD5 hash, HMAC, script, the whole entire gamut of SHA, different bit rates. We have SHA-3. It's pretty, there's a lot going on under the hood when we talk about Python and what's already there for us. So kind of, we're always looking for how to get to that function and how to use it. And I think that really what we're looking for is that if we look at hashlib, let's see, hashlib 3. It's pretty straightforward with what we get to do. And think like when we talk about proof of work, when we're talking about all the different aspects of what creates the features of Bitcoin and Ethereum that we enjoy and why it allows us to create a blockchain. Actually, we just get to find out exactly what the hash libraries want. So it looks like a lot of what we're going to be doing is taking the headers of what we define to a block to be. We're going to be converting them into strings and then referencing the block before it, and then taking all that information into one and hashing it as that last block. We're not going to recreate Bitcoin, so we're not going to actually like have aggregation servers and basically like incentivization and payment structures for people to mine our coin. We're really just going to really get to what it means to actually have a blockchain. So let's check it out. So we're going to know that we want to have our hash libraries. Notes here. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's see. One of the things that we were going to use to actually define a block is time. So let's see. Date time. Date. And we're just going to want to display it in a cool way for it's called Pretty Print. It's like a neat little library for Python to make your standard out look better, tabbed out. Okay, so what is a block? What is a Genesis block? I think that let's try to do one thing at a time here. What is a block? We're going to make a class here called a block. Really start blocking it out. So when we think about what a block is, we're going to be like, we know that since it's going to be in a chain, we're going to be able to keep each one's identities there. So we have an index, so you can actually tell which block we're on. We're going to have what's important time is like when a transaction happens, timestamp. The next one is, like I said before, is that we want to be able to have the actual information from, if we bought a cheesesteak or exchanged somebody for, I bought a hat off somebody off on the internet. There's a piece of transactional data that needs to be stored. So, and when it happened and in which block it is. And we have something that we talked about before is that we want to have the last hash included as well. And we're going to have the current hash. So in just stay Pythonic, we're going to talk about index. Let's say self.index is equal to index because we were gonna say that, yeah, we talk about defining the initial. We talk about the self, index, data, previous hash. This is all important because we don't need to have the time pushed in here because we can just call that from anywhere inside. Okay. Timestamp. You know that we created a date function, date time now. We know that we want to be able to take in the data, so that will be passed to it when we create a block. We also have previous data as passed. Hash that's currently there. We're going to actually create an entire function. So it's a method that will be called calcache. Now what's happening here is that we're just like when we said we wanted to actually talk about how things are done in Python. Let's see. Define the block, what the headers are, and actually the methods that we're going to use to complement. Okay. Let's see. So I think that's what we're talking about before. Where does the cryptographic library live in Python and how do we use it? Just check out define calc hash. And we have to be like really specific on exactly what that will take. And I think that we only need to accept one string. And I think we were talking about that before. So we say self. It's just going to be referencing nothing coming in. And we're going to instantiate the SHA function that we have, but it's from the hasher library. Let's see. Okay. So we can say that, if we remember from here, we have SHA 256. It's like, okay, it's a hash object. And let's see, we actually pass into it a string. All that. Wow. That's a blockchain. Code, and I believe it wants something that's encoded in UTF-8. So UTF-8. Close off everything. All right, cool. So it's not giving us an error. That's pretty good. Okay. Let's see, we're going to have a calcache, and we have we're going to say SHA.update, I believe. It's everything that's going to be loaded inside this, and that's exactly what I was trying to show here is that we're calling hasher.SHA-256. We didn't instantiate it, so we call it directly, and I'm passing a encoded string to copy this, so I don't actually have to do this all over again. Let's do that. Okay, let's see. So really we want to do is pass in a string every time. And instead of us giving like any old string, I want to be able to use all the headers that are inside of the block, chain them all together, and then encode them. So we're going to say, instead of string.code, instead of this literal string, we're going to just use self.index. So we take the actual number, turn it into a string, and then encode it. Add this. Let's see, let's yeah, that made my line of thought pretty clear what we got to do. Time, 5 times, raw it. Let's check it out. So we got the index, timestamp, the actual data, self.index, self-data. Let's see. Previous. Hash. And I actually don't need to talk about the actual. We're talking about creating the hash, so we don't have to worry about that. We close it off. So we can see that we took the update function, passing it all the strings concatenated together, and we're going to return it. It's the SHA hex digest. So we'll take all of that, actually hash it, and return it. So that's our calc function that is represented here at self.calchash. So every time that we actually go to create a new block, we'll actually get that hash calculated through the method that's defined also in here. And this leads us to our next object.
All right, I'm back with you. I saw the object thing. I was waiting for a chance to jump in. Looking good.
Yeah, we're trying to like really like go through the process of like, what is this? This is like, these are called like, Dunder method, Dunder method. Wow. Dunder methods, because you got the double underscore. Every time that there's a new block initialized, you're going to pass in, being real specific, there's going to be data. It's going to be an index, so we just know what block we're on, and something that goes into what the definition of a block is the previous hash.
All right,
I think that's what's novel.
I'm going to pull my video up so I can continue to watch your coding.
Okay. So this is the index of a block. Index of a block. This is the timestamp. Data. Previous blocks. Hash. So we trust method for creating hash for self. All right. This is the method. Cool. Just doing a real quick recap of everything that we're doing here. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. We're gonna SHA to inherit methods from hashlib SHA 256. Done. Update buffer for it to buffer all of the headers concatenated together and used to make the hash of the current. Wow. Blockchain. All right. So these are just the headers, converting all. Most of them are numbers. Well, the other one is like almost a hex hash that's being returned by a separate function. But we have date. That's a pretty big number. Data, that could be literally anything. So it might be already string. So we're just converting to the type. Just to bounce back into the one I'm going to do in Ruby. Ruby does this a little bit different, and so does Go. And like, how do we create those scenarios? You know, just relate it back to each other, and we're going to return the value. So let's see. Yes, this is something that is important to understand. I'm trying to keep that together. Headers are pure information that need to be represented. That's very true, and we're talking about the other dunder method. Have you heard me talk about them with Harris, Adam?
Yeah, you were going pretty deep on them.
Yeah, let's see, dunder method. And
Man,
repr is one of those things that if you work with a lot of strings, which you probably will in your career as a programmer, it's just like the data model. So like, just like calling something that str method, the str method that will return a string, it's the same thing happens when you want to call a repr. Let's see, repr, objective repr. Yeah, it's the representation of the object versus the actual object. So you like, if you, for instance, we have a class called, for example, we have a class called block, and that if we wanted the representation of we actually can't just print out all the headers, right? You know, there's an index, there's a timestamp, there's data, there's previous hash, but there's nothing for it to actually like to look at it. You know, we have to create either another method on our own, or we just realize that that's what Python does for us. It's like it knows that we're going to create data, and it wants to have like a good way of actually like representing that data if we were going to print it out on the screen. And that's the dunder method repr. So it's underscore repr.
I feel like we should roll in an advertise here video. Like
Advertise here.
I'm
about to bust open I didn't actually get that Bitcoin Energy. Let me go get one.
I can't. I literally cannot find a Bitcoin Energy video. I'd love to roll them in. I'd love to, but like nobody.
We're it.
Dude, I mean, but like seriously, I could put some pretty dope motion graphics overlay onto this, and it would be pretty cool. So, I mean, it's just kind of funny. Like everybody's looking to advertise. I'll roll them in. I'm cool with it.
All right, let's see. Wish I had my webcam. It's really interesting, but all right. You there?
Yeah.
Cool. That's the sound of refreshment. Even though they're hot and on the floor, they're still refreshing.
I got all mine in a fridge. I got like a fridge full.
If I put them in the fridge, everyone will. So that's my dilemma. So you could have them real cold right now, but it'd be a shame if you left them in there overnight. All right. Get my Bitcoin Energy. Cool. So really, all the repr method is going to do is that we're going to return. We want to take the header information and represent correctly. Okay. Okay. Let's see. We're just going to return a simple string, but we're going to return it in such a way. Let's see, we have block.
With this connection setup I have 0 drop frames.
Yeah?
Yep.
It's pretty baller.
Yeah, dude, we're coming in crystal clear. I mean, I wish if we
Is it too crystal clear?
No, you know, dude, it's looking pretty good. Anybody who's watching on Twitch, I'm monitoring the Twitch right now. I see we have 3 viewers. So if anybody wants to, I see maybe Harrison.
We have 7 people watching?
Yeah.
Wow.
In total, yeah.
Yo, guys, ring those bells.
Just
YouTube.
Share that
subscribe,
stuff.
like us, give us
Tweet
a comment.
Tweet it.
Tweet it. Everyone's talking about Lisk. What the heck? So we're just like, okay, we're at the index, we got the timestamp. Like, let's talk about what we need in here.
We're about to dress this channel up. I'm gonna do some stuff with some things.
You're gonna dress it up?
Yeah, I'm like, while you're doing this, I'm gonna start like working on some motion graphics and overlays.
Dude, I love motion graphics.
Apparently it's not affecting the stream quality because I'm monitoring that. It seems to be coming through fine. So I say, yeah, if anybody really wants to, you know, toss us some money and put some advertisements up right now, just shoot us an email. Sponsors at ForkedBlock.com. Like, we're definitely actively seeking people that want to help development. You know, if you want your chain hacked, if you want, oops, I'm blocking you out, Eric. There we go. You're back up. If you want your project hacked, you want to get some exposure for it. There's no better way than, you know, actually going straight through the community itself.
Tell them to get them on the stream.
Yeah, get on the stream. Show us your project. Let's see what the community thinks about it. If not, what are you afraid of?
Yeah, if not, you're messing up.
You're messing up. It's the only way to do it.
You're messing up. So I'm just formatting a string here. You can see the curly braces right there. It's a repr. It's basically everybody does this. You just got to be able to like chirp it. Chirp. Chirp. I want to be like Bob Rossel coding like these nice little hashes. Hey guys, we're gonna make happy little definitions.
In this encrypted data set, it needs some friends. So we're gonna add some other blocks. Right to the right, a nice big block.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice little block.
So we really want to talk about creating the Genesis block. So what would a good name for the Genesis block be, Adam?
Let's name it Adam.
Ooh. How about not? You just call it first.
Oh, come on. It's the Adam block.
The Adam block. All right, fine. We'll define Adam as data. We'll pass you a value called data and we'll call it Genesis. How about that?
Yeah, I'm loving it. Let's do it.
Don't.
Name the second one Eve while you're at it.
So we're going to start using the stuff that we've already. I love how messy my code looks. That's the way I live. I want to just like overtly comment everything and be like, okay, It's like no reason.
So what's going on here, Eric? What is the def? Is that the definition? Is that that's what you're doing there? Right? Correct? You're
defining... so def is like how we create a method inside of your functions, and that every class in Python has these dunder methods. So we're really defining them and what they do in relation to the self for the actual function that we're working with.
Gotcha.
So Atom's going to be a new. Atom's going to see. Atom is less of a verb though, or like kind of like I'm just going to. The reason why is because it's the first block, and that it could be the Atom block, but that kind of is going to mess with me. And all we're going to do is we're going to return what a block is, and we're just going to return nothing, basically. Because, there's nothing really going on with the Genesis block other than it's the first one, And so if we're creating new blocks in the chain, that we run from the block beforehand all the way to the Genesis block, we're going to call this one define next, and we're going to call it, we're going to bring in, it's going to be a function, and it's going to want to take in the previous hash, and if nothing is set up for the actual get, is going to have, hold on 1 second. All right. What we got here? We're just going to say, okay, our next block is, this is like a default information case nothing is passed. Okay, so it's just going to be like brought in as, really, we're just going to say we're going to return it. Return. Return. We're going to create a block. Do previous dot index, and this is what's interesting is that we're going to actually do something with that information and add one to it because it's the next in the chain. Do you feel me, Adam?
Yeah, I feel you, man. I'm following.
Good data, previous dot hash, because we pulled in previous down here. We're going to use it over here because that's literally a reference to the block beforehand all the way to the Genesis block. So that's previous plus one. You feel me?
I feel you.
Great. All right. So something that is with, there's a neat little thing that we can do. Common pattern. It's called decorator. We're just going to make a static method out of these and wrap those functions because they will be able to be called outside the context of class. But we're going to keep it here. Scope is now global. Very nice. Okay, so let's just create transaction. We're going to actually start creating blocks. So it's like, let's see. Let me see. We're talking about block prime.
Blocktimus prime.
Blocktimus prime. block. Let's keep this here. Start creating some blocks. Blocktimus prime is going to be equal to, going to instantiate a block. We're going to call it the first. Correctly.
Excuse me there, dear Eric. How would you like your block today? Block first, block second, or block third?
Just going to give one. So that's pretty much like it, yeah. Like, it doesn't really matter. That's the first block, so cool. Let me see. We'll instantiate block one as a reference to the old block. So we'll just say next. And we'll just talk about block 0. And then, so what do you want to, if we're just like kind of simulating blockchain, like, I bought 30 cookies from Adam. For 0.000001 Bitcoin. Cheap. Cool. And that's that's really all we're we're just like, the only thing that's new for the next block is like, okay, the timestamp's already filled out for us. We just need data. Okay. Okay, and we're going to get to the next block here, and we're going to
Okay, so looks like see we vibe out. You want me to play some music on this?
Yeah, I show music in the background is nice, because then it's like you're not just concentrating on the sound of my voice. So what did we get next? We got let's see, salt goes play. Okay, let's get another block in here. Block that next. B2, and we're going to say that we're going to have a Monopoly money. Okay. So literally, we're going to make a blockchain. Call it blockchain, and we're just going to make a linked list, basically. B0, B1, B2, B3, and that's our blockchain. So we're just going to output the headers contained therein. We're going to call it pretty print blockchain. Okay. Let me just make sure I don't have any problems here with my code. We got static method. Is this not turned right? I'll keep this one. Yeah. Seems like everything is right, but let's just not count on it. Write that. Well, let's see if it works first time. I doubt it. Ooh. It's a pretty easy fix. They do that everywhere else. Cal cache self. Quick. Dal syntax.
This is the emergency broadcast system. The CDC is advising that you
Oh, I need to do that again. Server mute. Okay. What does it say? 4. No, I guess so. Yeah, let me call on it. Blah 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 blah. It works. Ooh, it did. Yo, okay. 3 tries and it worked.
That's what I like to
bad.
see.
You know, it doesn't happen all the time. But so you can just see here, it did print it out. That's kind of like what it does. And all the information that was contained inside of the actual block we have here. We have the index, the timestamp, the data, the current hash of the block, and we just had another block right after it. So you can see if we like run this like a bunch of times that the hashes change, and that happens because we have a different timestamp. But you can see that A4, this one, A404, is the previous hash, and that's used inside to create the hash of the current hash, which is the part of the next hash, which is part of the current hash. You feel me? Bing. Cool, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is like the most straightforward way that I could say, like, hey, this is a blockchain. It uses it uses the only things that are necessary for creating a blockchain, which is the hashing algorithm. And the only difference between this and like an actual blockchain would be like, okay, you want to be able to establish the double spending paradigm.
Yeah.
This is what, like, you know, how that fixes it, and that's, we can go over that later. No, but this is basically what a Merkle tree is. Do you know? Could you tell us maybe a little about what you know about Merkle trees?
I'm sorry.
Merkle.
Merkles?
Uh,
Like
you
Merkle
know-
roots and Merkle trees? Yeah. Like based on
Yeah, what do you know
cryptography.
about Merkle trees?
So like basically like the unique signature of a resulting block, is that what you're talking about? Where like they sign each other and then they create something that else is unique and it's based on the previous hash or the nonce? Is that what you're discussing right now?
Just like the idea of a tree, you know, like having that leaf.
Yeah. So basically these big long strings, can you go back to the strings? Like where you like actually did the pretty print and you had the blocks?
Here?
No, yeah, in the terminal.
Oh.
And I want to get a graphic up here.
Graphic.
The hash itself is actually a bunch of segmented pieces that are signed together, right? So there are separate components that are building into essentially one single string of characters, and that is derived from multiple different transactions taking place. They have a unique signature because they were all signed with a private key, right? Hold on one second. So if you look at this tree right here, Eric, can you see my screen or no?
I feel like if I look at your screen, it'll go into some crazy. Are you look? Am I turned off now?
Hold on. Yeah, now you're turned off.
All right, good. Yeah.
So, like the individual segments of Eric's code where he was showing his screen and they had basically the values. That long string is comprised of essentially a bunch of individual actions happening. And they feed up and encrypt, and then encrypt each other, and then basically come out with a singular value. So there's these concepts called Merkle roots and Merkle trees. And oh, here you go. Perfect. So yeah, exactly. Hash, like a hash chain. So a lot of this comes from like these cryptographic experts like Hal Finney and some of the other guys that were like figuring out basically ways to solve for the double spending problem. And they figured out that cryptography might be the answer, but they couldn't really figure it out. It wasn't until the distributed ledger took place that you were actually able to verify that the actual transactions, they were all barking up the right tree for years, not the wrong tree, the right tree for years, but nobody actually put like the two things together of the peer-to-peer network and the power of it. And a lot of that came actually from like digital sharing of music, like the peer-to-peer and they worked out a lot of those issues, like Napster and all those different platforms figured out how to really have a solid P2P communication. Anyways, the point being is those two things that are in conjunction, these transactions at the blocks on the bottom, and I'm going to wave my mouse over them. these individual transactions all have unique signatures. And the reason that is when a transaction takes place, the person who's sending the Bitcoin, say you have two people, person A and person B, we send from person A to person B. So let's just kind of look at it. If these two people are involved in this specific transaction, person A is over here and person B is over here. If he sends Bitcoin from person A to person B, he also signs that transaction with his private key, which nobody else can see. And it creates a unique transaction ID for that specific transfer of that asset. That then couples into, what component is this? The second level. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
It's the leaf.
Yeah. So the leaf then kind of works up into the branch. Then you have like basically the root of the tree, which is the whole thing, right? But these individual transactions get basically compiled into like a single string, which is why there's actually meaning behind how specifically long a Bitcoin string is, right?
Yeah.
And Merkle trees are very complicated, and realistically, like my grasp and understanding at like I try to learn about them all the time, but like real cryptography people that like understand cryptography are just so in another dimension with their thinking. Like it's just really complicated and difficult stuff. The algorithms that basically calculate how something should be encrypted, like SHA-256 or SHA-3 or script, like all these different algorithms that are involved in this are all different in how they essentially encrypt the transactions or change the values from what you see to something else. But they do all kind of work on this simple concept of a Merkle tree and how things are, I guess, encrypted all the way up into a single string of characters, which has no meaning to anybody, like really like as a human, but as a computer, like the calculations all add up to a single string of characters. And therefore blockchain then references these types of things using, the back end libBitcoin and all these other, Bitcoin Core, all those tools basically work together to be able to give you the ability to just send money from person A to person B. So when you send money, it's just, you're sending Bitcoin person A to person B. But what the system sees is in a lot of ways, like where we were programming on Angular earlier, we are looking at code. I can communicate with that code, but I can't break down for you in ones and zeros exactly what every ASCII character is, right? There's these interfaces that work with them. Anyways, the Merkle tree, just kind of digressing a little bit, the Merkle tree is just basically this concept that the larger string of characters on top from what you see is based on a couple different factors. This previous hash, which is going to sign with the transfer hash, which is the next one. And then all these transactions make up the transfer hash through this series of algorithms, then signed by these private keys from individuals. So you can see how it's really difficult to track Bitcoin off the bat. People can say, yeah, we can track Bitcoin transactions, blah, blah, blah. If you throw in like even one more variable like trustless mixing, it becomes so much exponentially harder to track money on the Bitcoin network. And it's kind of not worth the time of the government, like to find this stuff out. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying it would take them a long, long time to be able to figure it out. So it's just kind of, it's like, it's just something to consider that like when somebody says, oh, no, we can figure out this or that. It's like, yeah, well, you might be able to if you threw enough time and resources at it. But the base of it is like, it is so unbelievably encrypted in the Bitcoin, the blockchain structure. I think the next calculation was to brute force an actual single address. It would take 1.56 billion or trillion years. I can't remember what it was, Eric. Do you know? Yeah. It's just unbelievably difficult.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Was that what you were looking for, or did I kind of talk in a circle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we just don't know unless we talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, why should it be a mystery? It doesn't have to be. We just talk about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not the most qualified person to be talking about Merkle trees, but I understand them.
Okay, I don't want you to be Bill Beatering over here, but you're good. You're good.
Well, maybe eventually, if I work hard enough at understanding cryptography, maybe I'll be there one day.
One day, we'll all be there.
It's just not today.
Just. Do you like my my kanji script there?
Yeah, I love that.
I'm like, what? You know, it's like, I didn't even plan that. It's just I have a luck of the draw with the Zish shell.
Yeah, the Zish shell's pretty legit.
You're like, wow, I look like a hacker. I have very Japanese stuff.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. I mean, I'm down to keep working on Angular. Honestly, I want to build this web app out.
You want to pick back up? You think you took a little break?
Yeah. Are you where are you at? You done? You're with your segment?
I drank a bunch of Bitcoin energy, so I'm gonna go to the lavatory there, and I'll be right back.
Well, I'm cool to actually just kind of get on up.
You want to do it? All right, yeah. Well, let me just go. You can go use the pad. Be right back.
All right.
All right.
Yep. Marathon live stream. That's what we're doing right now.
We're going back to Angular.
Oh yeah, we're doing marathon.
All right, let's do it. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So let me transfer in here, and let's see that cool motion graphic come up because I love it. Hold on. And we're back. So, left you off earlier. We were working with the Fun Awesome library in the FMB and a couple other things. What we haven't done is dressed up our Angular application that I showed up earlier. For those of you who are joining us, we went from scratch to building out this lovely Bulma piece of black ink. And we can actually change that and make it look prettier if we'd like, which we probably should. Let's just start off and let's just make this look a little bit cooler. Let's go out and let's change some stuff and do some things. Okay, first off the bat, I don't want this to say Volma by Jeremy Thomas. I mean, they did a great job, but we're gonna get rid of this footer because we're using it now. And let's actually just take all this out. I'm going to take credit for this one. And what's the source code?
Ready or not?
Our homepage is. So this is just really simple. We could actually. So this footer can be generated on every page now. So I'm not actually talking about what I'm doing, but right now let me talk about let's just take a look at what's going on here. So we're in the footer component section. Under footer, under components, because we made that folder so stuff didn't get messy, remember? You can make a number of things. So you had a special type of class and you don't want to even consider it a component, but in eyes of Angular it is. Say you had a set of components and you want to put them in a separate folder. As your site gets bigger and bigger, you may want to do these things. So when we did the ng generate and then component and then component / footer and component / head or header, we actually made those folders like you see here, the header and the footer folder. But we can do anything. We can put them in any folder we want. But the purpose behind this is now this is being rendered wherever we call it on this app component. And this probably isn't the most ideal way to do it, but as you can see here, the DOM is referencing that as an entity. You can actually edit that specific thing. So that's what we're doing right now. If we want to style in some SCSS, we can do that. I'm not that great at SCSS, but let's just change up some simple stuff. We're gonna make a ForkedBlock theme, and so this is our website. Visit us. Let's that. And then we'll do an href, and we'll go just to ForkedBlock.com. And I'm thinking I'm going to publish this
Nice.
when we're done, because we could have something clean. We could probably put a video back here. You know, if this mountain looks lonely, let's put little trees on it. Shout out to my man, Bob Ross.
Yay!
Forked block.com. And then obviously this is just basic HTML. And you know, really the cool part about Angular and these other frameworks is like they have package libraries that are massive. So if we wanted to do some cool stuff like add a DApp, add Web3, whatever you really want to do, it's limitless. So you can just plug these things in, have a very basic understanding of how they work. And when I say basic, like you literally have to just change a couple files or change your values, change your APIs, and then all of this stuff does the work for you. So you don't even have to get into worrying about building some cool app. Most of this is built. There's some nerd in a basement somewhere that wanted to work on a project because he really needed something, and he just built it for you. So just use it because it's open source. Never feel bad about like don't try and reinvent the wheel. Don't repeat yourself is a very key tenet in computer programming, which everybody should embrace. So like we're reinventing the wheel to show you how to build an Angular app to a degree, but it's a little bit different because what we're trying to do, I haven't really found a good template for, and I'm too cheap to pay for it. So we're gonna continue out here. Let's just save this, and then we'll do ng serve, and let's see what happens. Let's see what's going on. It should have changed the footer, and we'll start to dress this guy up. And as that's rendering, I'm gonna actually just go on down to let's do the header.component. Let's just change some stuff here. Like we could probably put a container in with let's see if they have a video header, Bulma video header. It'd be cool to have a little Bulma. So CodePen is really cool too. Like if we want to,
Yeah, it's basically the best.
ooh, that's pretty legit. Hmm. I mean, we can risk it if we really want. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so reading this HTML, we have a container, hero head, hero is dark large. The navbar is within that, and then so if we just did some basic editing here and put a CSS class in, we could probably do exactly what they're doing here. Let's see. Hero panel, data view background. Okay. Did I not save that? Let's see. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, we're in the build mode. We can actually just delete this dist file. Yeah, hold on. Going through here. What else we got in general? It's blowing up over here. What do we got? I'm looking for a OBS Studio. Okay, got here. Let's see if this worked. Oh, oops. I'm still running that. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm gonna go talk to Harris real quick. I'll be right back.
Sure. Okay, let's keep it going. What we got here? All right, so what had happened there was I was still running an instance, I believe, unless there's some serious problems. So let's ng serve this up again, and it should. You don't really need the dist folder. You can actually delete all of that if you want. After building it, it's not really important for. It's only important for distributions, but I mean, I'm never going to push that out, so it's kind of useless to me right now. Okay, compiled successfully. Let's check it out. Bam. Okay, so it's changed. Obviously, the footer that it changed there, and then obviously the color has changed. So, like, let's see the header component. Let's see what we got here. Check this. We have to change that. So what I'm going to do is actually navigate to the root directory. Actually, I'm probably do this. Let's see. I had made a logo for this. So let's go to the app. Let's go to the assets. Sorry, source. Assets. Let's just copy this. This is from my previous project, but what I'm going to do here is actually I'm going to put in my assets folder. I'm going to paste this. And that way I actually have a little logo that I can play with here. So let's play with that. We have their Bulma logo. Just do let's see how we reference it. I can't remember. Okay, so I didn't actually do that. I'm just gonna call it in. I forget how to do it locally, but this should work now. So let's see what we got. See, now my logo's in the top left. It looks beautiful. Nice little pretty site here. Basic, but we can do all kinds of things with this. We can edit, we can add button components and, you know, download. Let's see. Let's see what else we got. We can get rid of some of these elements down here, or link them, or do certain things with them, and pop views in and have them reference. That's the other thing that we can do. So let's just start with just getting some of the stuff cleaned up. So I'm just going to go through here and see what we got. I'm going to look at this, and we have header component. We have a header component. I don't need that GitHub anymore. Let's put an href in here. And let's make this go to https://github.com/ForkedBlock. And that way that can link to our GitHub so people can download. And check out our repository. Okay, what else we got? Title. Okay. Good. Turn out. Okay, so now we have a bunch of links down on the bottom here. And this is box is full with. This is what we're seeing down here. These modifiers, everything like that, this overview is active. So this is active, right? That's what it looks like. The DOM is going to be manipulated by Angular. So it's important to know that when we're dealing with Angular, basically it's going to manipulate all of these elements on page, pull up different views, things like that, and it's going to render it in the browser. So say we have one tab and we click here, and that was the active element, it would look completely different. So let's look what that looks like. We can actually upload a component in here and start to build out these different pages in the single app that we're building. So what does that look like? Let's go into it. Let's go to Bulma. We can actually just start building out elements and documents, and then we can link them all. So let's see what we got. I'm actually going to cut my screen for a second here and just talk. Matter of fact, while I'm at it, I might just give you a video rolling. Okay, and we're back. Right now, I'd just like to, say thanks to, Bitcoin Energy for hooking me up with those drinks that they hooked me up with, and, obviously being a part of our event. We've been talking to a couple other people we're going to be proud to announce coming on with us fairly shortly for our October 27th event here in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've reached out to a couple student blockchain groups. We've talked to a bunch of people. It seems like there's some genuine interest for more hackathons, and we are going to try and pack these things with as many prizes as possible. And essentially what our goal is to really just showcase developers. And you don't have to be an expert at blockchain to get a job in blockchain. There's a lot of people that really work just on small projects and become experts over years and years and years of doing this work. Now there's different types, and we talk about smart contracts here, and we talk about basically anything about blockchain, and we're really interested in all of it. But as more technologies come out, there's different ways to deal with stuff like proof of stake and proof of work, and IOTA's a weird project. There's tons of different things coming out. Oracle seemed to be a big one too, and that's like why we were talking to Zap.org so much, is like the data feeds in real time and implementing that into the decentralized technology formats is going to be super interested. So I was building kind of starting to build an Angular site for us, and I decided last night that I was just like, as long as I'm redoing the Angular approach, I'm just going to go out there and build and show everybody how it would be done. I'd like to build some Web3 integrations and kind of work with my team on making this a really interesting and excellent site that everybody can use, and try to have an interface that's make it worth your time to visit it realistically. So I would encourage everybody to definitely check out the Eventbrites that we have posted and see if we're in your city. Right now we are in San Francisco, we are in Raleigh, we are in Austin, Texas, and Denver, and that's the 4 that we slated, and we're talking about picking some more up and seeing where we can move them. So if you're interested in sponsorship, you run a chain, or you're involved in blockchain in some respect, definitely reach out to us. You can hit us up on our Discord, which is where most of us live. Or you can, reach out to us via email, if you prefer the more data approach of, sending a note. That's okay too. I'm not going to hold it against you. That's sponsors at ForkedBlock.com. You can contact our crew anytime you want. We'll all see that message. If you're interested in hosting an event near you and you want, us to show up, we're open to that too. We really want to work with local meetups and make this thing, pretty cool, and be able to put some of the people that are working with us and our sponsors towards more localized event. They benefit because people learn about their project, and then you guys benefit as well because you get eyes on it to investors and people that are looking for blockchain developers. And believe me, there are tons of people looking for blockchain developers. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of the most high demand things, in programming right now, is anybody that gets blockchain basically gets, you mention blockchain, they throw money at you, for development anyways. The ICO market's a little bit slow right now because obviously slow money, but the funded projects that are really looking to build stuff, they're really looking for talented people to help them, build this decentralized stuff that we're talking about. And I'm not talking about like Hyperledger or anything like that, but like, some of these Ethereum smart contract companies that are really trying to make a difference in their respective fields. They're, have a lot of workload on them, and to really make it, that mass market adoption, we're going to need high quality developers to do that stuff. So, moving along here, I am currently, working on these headers and footers. We spun this up, and right now we're looking at the active elements within the Angular. So we have, this class right here that you see here, it says is active. That's actually, that's why when I look over here, that is the white one. The Angular is going to toggle this depending on, which one you're looking for, and as you click these links, you can have the different views pop up here. So what I think I'm going to do next is generate a component. So we're going to do ng generate, and then we'll do component, and let's name this one components /community. And let's see what happens. So we just generated another component here called community. And this is going to say, hey, look, we're a component. Community works. And it is going to be loaded into this view that I have here through this app component.html. Okay. So let's go here. Let's go header, footer. Let's put this in between. And let's name this. Okay, maybe I'm not thinking about this right. So where we should put it actually is reference this component within the header right here. Sorry, right here. Just working through this in my head right now. Okay, so let's just build that component out first, and we'll see what we're gonna do. So now that I have this new component, community component right here, what we're gonna do is find out what type of framework we want to meet. And I am not trying to build this from scratch, so let's just browse here and go shopping. So what I'm thinking of doing is more so like like I built this site, so let's just look at it. And this was on WordPress. Whoops. This was the event that I threw, so. So I liked a couple things about this. I like the fact that we have a Discord component down here. I'm a big fan of this widget. Maybe using their APIs, we might be able to do something a little bit cooler. So I'd like to consider that. And now also what I'd like to consider is, some of these overlays and things like that are in here, like these images. I'd like a team section to highlight our team. So I'm probably going to build that out. And then also, I definitely want a form up there. So let's check that out too. Let's check out a form quick. Okay. Go down here. Ooh, file checkbox, text area, input. See what this says. It's a pretty good sheet here. Okay, so this is a form here, and it's just basically going to create input fields. So we can actually do that here too. I was just looking at an example of it real quick. We can do type email. Let's see what else they have. I like this one right here. This is probably about the right size and what I'm going for. So let's see if we can pop that in. Oh, actually, yeah, we're gonna do community first, that's right. I'll bookmark that. Duplicate it. Unpin. Let's go back and let's see what else we have. So, keeping in mind, let's see what layout, container, media object, hero, footer, section, tiles, dimension. Elements, okay. Button, content, delete, icon, progress bars, tables. No, not what I'm looking for. Let's see what card looks like. Or not card, this is what we currently have at the bottom, like kind of like a tab format. So let's see if we can do a section. You know what? I'm probably gonna work this one out. Let's end it here. I'm gonna come back with a little bit more of a strategy and build this site out. But I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much for watching. If you stayed on the whole time, which I doubt because it was a long run at it, that's great. But if you're watching in the future, definitely keep in mind everything that I said. October 27th is the next hackathon we're running in Raleigh, and I think I'm gonna sign off here and roll out. So. Getting a little tired. I'll talk to you guys later.